All right, you saw the title. You know the claim I'm making. Bench press is not the best exercise for chest and related push muscles like triceps and anterior deltoid. Ow! I said what I said, and I stand by it.
You had my curiosity, but now you have my attention.
In this video, I'll give you the results of 3 different studies to support my claim. But before I do that, I'm going to ask you some common sense questions and ask you to use some logical reasoning when I present you with some facts and comparisons that, if nothing else, even if you don't leave this video at the end wholeheartedly agreeing with me, at the absolute minimum, it should make some light bulbs go off in your head and get some gears turning in the direction of, damn, this YouTube guy might have a point. All right, you ready? Here goes. What is the king leg exercise? I'm pretty sure most of you, if not 90+% of you, said the squat. Or for some of you, maybe even much higher than 10% of you, and I wouldn't exactly argue with you. I do think it's a bit of a toss-up, but others may have said the deadlift. Doesn't matter which of the two you chose, because the point I'm going to make is still going to be factually correct regardless of which you chose. But let's say I tried to tell any of you that the leg press was better than the squat.
Are you stupid or something?
You would laugh me out of the room, right? Okay, so we have some common ground already.
So far, so good.
What about the king of back exercises? What back or pull exercise is the hardest of all, requires the most power, and requires you to be really strong in advance to do them well and consistently? It's the pull-up.
That's right. That's right.
Would any of you argue that the lat pull down is harder, requires more power, or is more effective at building a massive back than pull-ups?
No. No. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. No. 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 No.
Maybe there's a bit more wiggle room on that one than there is on the squats or deadlifts versus the leg press question, but I'm still super confident in saying that pull-ups are the king pull exercise, and I think the overwhelming majority of you would agree with me. Now, let me ask you this. What do squats and deadlifts have in common with pull-ups, and how do they differ from leg press or lat pull down? I'll give you the answer. Squats, deadlifts, and pull-ups are closed kinetic chain movements, while leg press and lat pull down are open kinetic chain movements.
Say what?
Closed kinetic chain movements are when your body is attached to something that is stable and does not move, but you move your body through space against resistance. So in a pull-up, for example, the bar is stable and it is your body that moves through space against resistance during the movement, as opposed to lat pull-downs where you are stable and you're moving a weight through space. Think of gymnasts and those dudes on the rings and how absolutely jacked they are. They train closed kinetic chain upper body movements all day, every day. Now think of squats or deadlifts. Your foot is stable firmly against the ground, which can't move, and you are moving your body up and down against resistance through space, as opposed to leg press, where your body is stable in a chair and cannot move, and you are pushing a weight through space. See the difference? So let's close the circle here and ask the big question about the elephant in the room. If the king pull exercise is a pull-up, and it's a closed kinetic chain movement where you are attaching yourself to something stable and pulling yourself through space, and the two king movements in bodybuilding history, the squat and deadlift, the undisputed 2 best lower body exercises bar none, are both closed kinetic chain movements where you are attached to something stable and moving your body through space against resistance, and they both blow away the leg press, which is their open kinetic chain movement comparison, wouldn't it stand to reason that the king push movement would also be a closed kinetic chain movement where you are attached to something stable that does not move and pushing your body through space against resistance, as opposed to being stable against an object like a bench while moving a weight through space, I think I see those light bulbs going off and those gears starting to turn.
That was awesome.
I will present some study results that I absolutely think will support the statement I am about to make. But the king push exercise that will build your upper body muscles like chest, triceps, and shoulders better than the bench press is...
Wait for it. Wait for it. Wait for it.
Weighted push-ups. There it is. That's the answer. Hear me out. If you made it this far, for Christ's sakes, hear me out. Everyone recognizes how awesome push-ups are. The problem with them is that they are harder and it takes more creativity to add resistance to them than it does to a squat or a deadlift. With that said though, there are many easy ways to add resistance to your push-ups. You can purchase and wear a weighted vest while doing the push-ups. You can load a backpack with some plates, dumbbells, or even a medicine ball and do the push-ups with a backpack on. Or my favorite way is simply grab a plate, balance it on your back while performing the push-ups, and if you have a training partner or a buddy at the gym who can help, you can add 2 or more plates to your back. Adding resistance to the closed kinetic chain movement of a push-up, in my opinion, elevates it to the god-tier status of push exercises, the same way that pull-ups, squats, and deadlifts, its closed kinetic chain cousins, are already to the pull and leg movements, and relegates bench press to a tier below the same way its cousins, the pull down and the leg press, are already looked at comparatively. This is not to say you shouldn't do bench press. You should, the same way you still do leg press after squats. However, it should be in that order. You should always do the closed kinetic chain movement first while you are most fresh. Squats or deadlifts on leg day, pull-ups on back day, and weighted push-ups on chest day. And then, the same way you would do an open kinetic chain movement after the closed one, such as rows on pull day or leg press or leg extension on leg day, you can then do bench press or a variation of it. I personally prefer incline dumbbell bench press after my weighted push-ups. I linked all 3 studies I mentioned earlier in the comment section of this video, but it's 3 different studies comparing push-ups to bench press. The first 2 are better than the third because they compare a push-up only group to a bench press only group, create variations in the push-up and the bench press to make them comparable to one another in terms of load, and then use ultrasound imaging to measure thickness in the pectoralis major and the triceps brachii. The results in each study? Both groups make considerable gains in the thickness of the target muscles with no statistical difference between the push-up group and the bench press group. This means, in the studies, at worst, push-ups are equal to bench press in producing hypertrophy in the desired muscle groups like chest, triceps, and deltoids. However, in each study, the push-ups are being done with body weight only. There are no studies I can find, unfortunately, comparing weighted push-ups versus bench press strictly for hypertrophy, but these studies indicate that at worst, they would be even. But this is where I ask you to use some of that common sense and some of that logical reasoning and logical deduction skills I told you that I would ask you to use earlier in the video. Wouldn't it stand to reason, based on everything else we've discussed and based on the other closed kinetic chain movements for other body parts being the dominant movements for their respective muscle groups, that you can see a world where weighted push-ups would prove to be more effective than bench press due to their closed kinetic chain nature? There is only one single study I was able to find where they did compare actual weighted push-ups to bench press in a controlled way. Unfortunately, they didn't measure hypertrophy or gains in muscle size or thickness. They only measured the weighted push-up group versus the bench press group using EMG, which is electromyography. It's a diagnostic procedure and tool that measures the electrical activity of a muscle in response to a stimulus. What do you think they found, however? You guessed it, that both the weighted push-up and the bench press movement stimulate similar muscles at no real statistically measurable difference, so it concluded that both options could be used interchangeably. I hope this got you thinking at minimum, taught you a ton about closed kinetic chain movements versus open kinetic chain movements, and encouraged you to try implementing weighted push-ups into your routine consistently over the next few weeks and months. Your chest, shoulders, and triceps will appreciate that you did. Please like, comment, and subscribe so you don't miss any new content when it comes out, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.